अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल
ॐ नमः परमर्षिभ्यो नमः परमर्षिभ्यः हरिः ॐ उपासकानां यदुपासनीयम् उपात्तवासं वटशाखिमूले तद्धाम दाक्षिण्यजुषा स्वमूर्त्या जागर्तु चित्ते मम बोधरूपम् अद्राक्षम् अक्षीणदयानिधानम् आचार्यम् आद्यं वटमूलभागे मौनेन मन्दस्मितभूषितेन महर्षिलोकस्य तमोनुदन्तं विद्राविताशेषतमोगणेन मुद्राविशेषेण मुहुर्मुनीनां निरस्यमायां दयया विधत्ते देवो महान् तत्त्वमसीति बोधं ममाद्यदेवो वटमूलवासी कृपाविशेषात् कृतसन्निधानः ओङ्काररूपाम् उपदिश्य विद्याम् आविद्यगध्वान्तम् अपाकरोतु सत्सङ्गतिं सदनुगेषु च मित्रभावं भक्तिं च बोधधिषणाद्यगदं ददानं संसाररोगविनिवारणवैद्यनाथम् आनन्दम् आत्मरमणं शरणं प्रपद्ये अमलरजतदेहं भाति चिज्योतिरेकं हृदयकुहरमध्ये निष्कलं देवरूपं निकटपथिविचारैः वृत्तिभिः सादरेण सभयम् अभिवरेण्यं तेजसा दीप्यमानं करणतनुधियां यः प्रेरकस्वेन भासा कबलितजगदण्डः पिण्डमध्ये शयानः सकलहृदयवासः शाश्वतो ब्रह्मरूपः वितरतु परिशुद्धिं चेतसो नः शिवाख्यः The meditative state is very often compared to a still lake or a still pool. Shankaracharya many places compares it like that. He was a great poet, as all the sages are generally like that. Nan Rishi Kavi, it is a well confirmed thing in Sanskrit literature, where they say a person who is not a rishi is not a kavi. If he is not a real sage, he is not a poet also. So, in that aspect, sages are called kavi. Kavim kavinam upamashravastamam. As Veda themselves says, the real kavi is Ishvara. So Shankaracharya in Shivananda Lahari says, "O mind, why do you wander here and there? You are a hamsa, you are a swan. Don't go and sit in all these dirty ponds and lakes, stagnant water. Go and stay in that lake of meditation, which has the water is the divine bliss. Nityananda Rasalayam." Very beautiful. The words are also very, very alive. Nityananda Rasalayam. And there are many birds, many swans there. Suramuni Swantam Bujadashrayam. Many, many lotuses have blossomed there. The divine beings, the sages are all there. Swacham, it is still, it is clear. Sadvijasevitam kalushahirt sadvasana vishkritam. So this is where somewhere where he says the mind must be still. There are ripples when the water is shaky. We call in Tamil it is kalakkam. And it is not having any shake. It is not muddy. Then there is no kalakkam. So Bhagavan yesterday said kalankar, one who has seen the substratum. When sometimes when the lake is very clear, very still, you will not even see the water. Even the water is invisible, only the sand bed is visible deep down. Like that, when the mind is so still, silent, a pure consciousness, Atman, existence, Satchidananda is revealed. The I am is revealed as it is. That is generally, when you try to quieten the mind, it is what called Raja Yoga, the royal path. Directly, you need not even believe in God. Unnecessarily, you need not bother with philosophy. Do not heat your intellect with all kind of logic, reasoning, all things. Directly catch hold of the mind and quieten it. Bhagavata, after discussing many paths, ultimately Krishna says, you want directly spirituality? Vacham yacha, mano yacha, pranan yacha, indriyani cha. Atmanam atmana yacha. Na bhuyah kalpase dhvani. He says, control the words, control the senses, control the mind, and make everything still. You will be free. You will no more walk this path of birth, death, old age, sorrow. All this, again you need not come and wander about in this forest of grief. So, Kandar Kalangare Khan. As Bhagavan said, those who have seen, the seers, they no more get into this conflict. No more this agitation due to ignorance, ajnana. So this is the last verse that we saw. Those who have crossed this duality and triads of I. All problems have the source in the I. And when you seek what this I thought is, this is Bhagavan's path, the I thought. The I thought, all other thoughts depend upon this I thought. So you catch hold of this I thought. This question, who am I, is also just a help given to you. If you can directly, with inner attention, look at the I, hold on to the I, stay with that throb of I, then the mind will naturally sink to the source. Or you can just question, who am I? What is this me? Who is inside this? Directly you will go and sit in the real nature, or you will contact this movement of this I inside, this feeling of this I inside, and investigate it, explore it with that inner attention. More and more you attend to it, the more and more it diffuses in the heart. It just evaporates in the heart like a cloud, It just evaporates in the heart, like the cloud just disperses in the sky, like that. Sometimes the waterless cloud will come, it will just it will disappear. Like that, this I thought will disappear, revealing that blueness of the being, that space, infinity within. Akashavan nirmala nirvikalpam, nissima nispandana nirvikaram. The words are very alive, where Shankaracharya says, it is pure like Akasha. It is without another like Akasha, nirvikalpam. Akasha means space, the ether. Formerly they used to use the word ether, now they use only space. Nirvikaram, no change, the changeless infinitude. Nissima, boundless. Nispandana, no throbbing, no movement, no vibration. Antarbahisshunyam, neither inside nor outside. Ananyam, it is not anything other than me, it is my I am, it is me, it is the self, it is existence. Advayam, it is the non-dual. Ananyam advayam swayam, it is the self. Param Brahma, it is the supreme Brahman. Once you have known it here, kimasti bodhyam, what else remains to be known? So this is, once you have known that, you no more have the kalakkam, agitation. So this is the 9th verse. Now our bullock cart has reached 10th verse. Maatu vandi. Very slow. If we go like flight, we can finish everything very quick. But it is like Very slow. So the next verse is aṟiyāmai viṭṭu aṛiviṉ. Aṛivu viṭṭu a-vv-aṟiyāmai iṉṭṛāகும். அந்த அறிவும் அறியாமையும் ārkku என்று அம்-முதலாம் தன்னை அறியும் அறிவே அறிவாம். aṟiyāmai viṭṭu aṛivu-uṟum. Ignorance and knowledge. The dualistic manifestations. One is ignorance, avidya. The other is vidya. Lalita Sahasranama, both are given as the name for Divine Mother. Vidya, Vidya Swarupinni Namaha. So Vidya is also one form, avidya is another form. Upanishad plays with these two words. The Ishavasya Upanishad says, avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya amritam ashnute. In that mantra in the Upanishad, Shankaracharya gives various different meanings. Like vidya is devata vijnanam and avidya is karma. But in another place, in Brihadaranyaka, when it comes, he says, avidya means ignorance, vidya means atmajnana. That is direct meaning we can speak. So those who, the mantra is very powerful. It says those who lie in avidya, stay in ignorance, go to darkness. Andham tamaha pravishanti ye avidyam upasate. Those who are involved with avidya, ignorance, they enter into blinding darkness. And what should those who, naturally we will expect, if you involve in vidya, you should be out of it. But the Upanishad says those who tato bhūyaiva tamaha yavu-vidyāyāgum rataha. There the Shruti says iva, like it will appear as if those who are addicted to the vidya, they enter into more darkness. So there Shankaracharya says the vidya there means the devata vijnanam. You forget this world and start living in some imaginary world. That imaginary world creates more suffering, more difficulty. And that is also called Sambhuti in another mantra. So we are not dealing with Ishavasya Upanishad. But there is another way we can say the mantra. Those who are in samsara, they of course suffer. And those who simply intellectually equip them with spiritual knowledge, without realizing it, they know that such a thing exists, yet they are not able to realize it. Many sadhakas, they say, formerly I was far better. So that is why the Shruti puts iva, like. It appears as if they are in more blinding darkness. Actually not. Because it appears so for the time being. It is like you have started your journey from your home and has not reached destination. You are in between. Such a stage is there for everyone. Ubhaya, as Bhagavan himself says in Tamil, he says, Irayuyirindri kondridan indra yenkurai yatrinan ezhai. Neither have I attained God, nor am I in the samsara, I am in between. O Lord, what harm did I do to you that you have pulled me out of samsara? And neither have I reached that spiritual destination. This is a stage through which everyone has to go. And there comes the viraha tapa, there comes bhakti, they say viraha, jnanam, it is mumukshutvam, and yoga sthiti, it is alabdha bhumikatvam, not getting established in that state, in that plane. It's all same. So this is a state where one needs a lot of patience to go. So this in another way, and the Shruti continues, it says, Vidyaya amritam ashnute, avidyaya mrityum tarati. You know what says the Upanishad? It says you can equip yourself with all worldly knowledge because it is needed for the world. So use it to cross the worldly life. And you know what the Upanishad calls the worldly life? Worldly life is another name for death. It will end in death. Actually, every moment you are not living, you are dying. This moment means this is death. And body is another name for death. It is walking death. And where is it walking? Only to one place, cremation ground or burial ground, whatever. It will reach either somebody will take you or you will walk. You are also walking. At last people has to bear the weight. But certainly the journey is towards that. Swami Chinmayananda used to say, from the womb to the tomb. That was his usage, from the womb to the tomb. So that is the destiny, that is the travel. Jivita yatra, sharira yatra. As Krishna puts it in Bhagavad Gita, it is sharira yatra. So that plane, you need ignorance. See, all our schools, all our colleges, all our academies, all our educational system, all our Google, in this modern chat, GPT, artificial intelligence are all for what? So that somehow keep the ignorance alive, to be on guard that you will not realize. You see, the realization is so simple that if Maya is not careful, one moment you will realize. So the Maya is very careful that you will never find this truth. See, Sureshwaracharya gives an example. He says it is like the Maya is guarding your ignorance with all kind of supports. Scaffold. Like that, keeping it. And you know what? How it keeps it alive? It is like keeping a amla or orange or some gooseberry, keeping it, balancing it in nose, in the edge of nose. It is that difficult to keep the ignorance alive. We think it is difficult to keep jnanam alive. But actual fact is, to keep the ignorance alive is very difficult. You keep it all alive every day, it shatters everything, removes the body, mind, ego, everything, and you are the self for some time in the deep sleep. And again, morning, the mind arises, it slowly collects everything. And some single thing you forget, you are alarmed. I am forgetting, I am beginning to forget. Because it is easy to lose, and your last birth you completely forgot. It is called Tirodhana Shakti. So it's very easy to wash clean all these things. Recently, one very well, we can call established psychiatrist is working in United States, and he is a very devout sadhaka also. He said, sometimes many people will come to us, they have forgotten everything. Some name he said, they have forgotten everything, but they will be in bliss. And we know that what is the problem. So we just diagnose it in the brain and give some medicine and everything and bring them back. most of them, many of them, they say, of course, the Christian upbringing, they will say, we were talking to God. We were with God. Why did you bring us out? And we think balance means what? Again give them this dirty sack of mind. Give them back, you own it. There is a story, actually an incident which people say, somebody wants to put all the garbage back to the municipal tin, dustbin. When they were carrying the bag, actually it happened to one of our devotees in Trichy. He said, was carrying some dirty thing to be put in the municipal dustbin. He was carrying it in the scooter. On the way, he stopped in a medical shop to buy something. Somebody stole it away. And they are good devotees. Actually, that Amma, she was crying because, Pav, he would have expected some valuable inside, and what will happen to him when he opens it? And she was literally crying that he did not get anything valuable. So this is like that. No? Again, the person, suppose if he brings it out and give it to you, what will be it? Like that, every day this waking state is bringing all this nonsense and giving it to you. Again back us. I am back with all my nonsense. So this is the body, the mind, the ego, our samsara, our suffering. And it is very difficult to keep it alive. It will fall. Because your natural state is ananda. You need not do anything to re-own it. You have to just know it. That's all. Then how to live in the world? You need ignorance. That is the Shruti. It says, live in the world only with even dharma is ignorance only. A-vv-aṟiyāmai tīrtva. In the world, you have to deal with people, you have to deal with government, law. Everything is ignorance, made of ignorance. You have to deal with many, many nonsense. Their knowledge will not work. Their a-vv-aṟiyāmai tīrtva. Relative knowledge is needed. Vidyaya amritamashnute. In your real swarupa, you need vidya, aṛivu. As Bhagavan uses the word aṛivu and aṟiyāmai. Okay. So the 10th verse is aṟiyāmai indri aṛivu iṉṭṛāṁ. I said, apart from the ignorance, there is no separate existence for knowledge. Because ignorance is there, knowledge is needed. Otherwise, Atma needs no knowledge. It is ever shining forth. That is why for a jnani, nobody is ignorant. Muruganar has written in one song, he says many times, very often we used to feel, it will be better if Bhagavan is able to see our ignorance. Because whenever we want to present our ignorance to him and go to his presence, we find we no more have ignorance. We are unable to show our ignorance to him. It is like the Ratri Devata. The Devata of night wants to present herself before sun, have Surya Darshanam. It is impossible. Like that, the ignorance has no stand in the self. That is why when we have deep inquiry into the Vedanta Shastra, people simply, those true scholars, they don't accept that there is ignorance in deep sleep. For a beginner to understand, they say there is ignorance, causal body, karana shariram, etc. That is why but in deep sleep, it is not acceptable to say that there is ignorance, because the self is always, by its very nature, it is knowledge. The only thing that it cannot give up is its swarupa as knowledge. Its swarupa as knowledge it cannot give up. Just as the sun, the light, can never be without light. So, aṟiyāmai viṭṭu aṟivu-uṟum. aṟivu viṭṭu aṟiyāmai iṉṭṛāhu. Without knowledge, ignorance cannot stand. Without ignorance, knowledge also cannot stand. And all the worldly knowledge is relative. The first standard becomes, if you have not entered it, you have not entered school. But if you stay in first standard, in the second year also, it becomes ignorance. One student said, "Did everyone in your class pass?" He said, "Yes, except teacher." She is still in the same class. So, aṟivu-aṟiyāmai. Likewise, apart from objective knowledge, ignorance cannot remain. When you say, "I am ignorant," who is this I who says I am ignorant? See, you do not know Sanskritam. But if you study Sanskrit, you will know Sanskrit. Both are some kind of thoughts in the mind, that's all. But self-knowledge is not this. So too with Vedanta also. You do not know Vedanta. You join some academy and study Vedanta. Then you know Vedanta. Everything. All the scriptures you know. Yet, Bhagavan says, formerly you were ignorant, now learned ignorance. Because still, even with this knowledge, you do not know the self. So, that is tato bhūya tamaha. With all knowledge, still darkness is there because that pratyak drishti has not come. That turning towards the seer has not happened. So, for whom is this ignorance? Who is ignorant? Who is ajnani? I. And what is this I? The ajnani and jnani. Who is the jnani? Who says I know? Who says I do not know? When you turn towards this I and inquire, then you find that the I, one who claims knowledge and one who claims ignorance, is a false. It is falsehood. It is jiva bhava itself is false. Then you find it vanishes, and there only pure condensed knowledge, prajnanam, is there, which is swayam prakasha, which is self-effulgent. aṛiyāmaiyum, aṛivum, aṛiyāmaiyum ārkku a-m-mudal taṉṇai aṛiyum aṛivē aṛivam. That is true knowledge, where when you question to whom is the ignorance, to me whom is the knowledge, and turn towards the I and search for the I. and know what the real implied essence of this I is, what this I means. Aham padartha to ahamadi sakshi. This, what is implied by this I, is witness to the I thought. And it is there even when the I thought is not there, in deep sleep. Nityam sushuptavapi bhava darshanat. Even in deep sleep, its existence you can know. You can also infer, you can also know. Its bhava, its existence, that which is there in deep sleep is also, deep sleep also. And a-m-mudal taṉṇai, that is the primordial thing. That alone was there in the beginning. And in that, this doership, this enjoyership, this ego arose, this I thought arose. And in that I thought the mind arose, and along with the mind all the senses came out, the body appeared, the world appeared. He, she, it, this, that, all kind of kolahalam. Kilala vayu anala kolahalam bhuvanam alāpamatram akhilam. Narayana Guru's beautiful verses. Kilala vayu anala kolahalam bhuvanam alāpamatram akhilam. Kilalam is water, vayu, air, anala, agni, and kolahalam means chaos. And all this dance, this celebration with all these 5 elements, he says, they are mere words. Alāpamatram Kaladi mridu nūlāle neyyumuru līlāpatam bhavati me. It's a song on Divine Mother where he says, "Oh Divine Mother, this entire universe is a cloth interwoven with the thread of time, space and causation. And it is all mere words," he says. It is all mere words. It is like mirage in a desert, water seen in a desert. It doesn't exist. taṉṇai aṛivum maṛivē aṛivām. taṉṇai aṛivum maṛivē aṛivām. The knowledge of taṉṇai aṛivum maṛivē aṛivām. The knowledge of knowing oneself alone is knowledge, he says. So it is. Once this person about whom we spoke day before, Nadesh Iyer, he once said, when many people were asking questions to Bhagavan, Bhagavan was replying to them, Bhagavan is deceptively uneducated. He was a thorough scholar. Bhagavan was a thorough scholar. The great scholar Jagadish Shastri has written that I used to consult Bhagavan even with Brahma Sutra Bhashyam. Bhagavan used to give meaning, clarity about spiritually. If anything is needed, he will clarify. Unnecessarily things, he will not talk. So he used to comment on all the Bhashyams, Vedanta Grantha. He was very thorough with the Upanishad, Gita, everything. Yeah. His knowledge all came so easily, not by much pondering over them. He used to go to Jadaswami's cave where they had a library where all these books were stored. And at that time he was in Maunam, he was not talking to anyone. He used to go there and read and read. And one day this Jadaswami and some other Swamis were talking about some point in Vedanta Shastra. And they never thought Bhagavan knows anything. And they could not arrive at a conclusion about something. Bhagavan was not looking at them. He was reading some book, all the while replying to them. And they were shocked that this Swami knows so much. So people used to come and discuss to Bhagavan about Yoga Vasishtam, Vasudeva Mananam, and Kaivalya Navanitam. Sometimes that polemic book called Vicharasagaram also comes. All polemics. So when people were talking like this Nadesha here, you will be sitting there. You can see when great scholars talk, some simpleton will be in the middle, looking this side and that side and this side, and his face will be very beautiful because you can see nothing is understood. And when I was studying in Kaladi, Shringeri Shankaracharya Bharati Tirtha Mahaswami arrived there, and there was Vakyartha Sabha. Very scholarly discussion on Shastras, debates will be happening. So one old lady whom I was familiar with, she used to every day ritually go there, systematically go there, sit there. And she, I know, had no basic education on Sanskrit. She cannot understand anything. She will be sitting. Perhaps she went there so that Acharya is there. Because of that, she will be sitting perhaps. Very old, very traditional. So, one day I saw that she was like this, sitting in between, very serious topic of argument was going on, and the subject was not even Vedanta, it was Tarka Shastra, Nyaya Shastra. And in between they will say the Purva Pakshi and Siddhanti. Siddhanti means the one who speaks the philosophy. The conclusion will be Siddhanta. And Purva Paksha is the opponent who asks questions, doubt. So the opponent is called Purva Pakshi. So once in a while this word will come, this Purva Pakshi will come. So this lady, this old lady, she will be sitting there. One day I asked, what did you understand? And she said, don't you understand? I am a Samskrita Vidyarthi there. They are talking on Pakshi Shastra. Because Pakshi comes very often. You know, Pakshi Shastra means using a parrot, the parrot will pick up one card, and from that they will say astrology. At least from her ignorance, I had something to tell you. From that Vakyartham, I have nothing to tell. That is. So, see this Purva Pakshi. So sometimes ignorance is also beautiful. So this Nadesha here said, these people are very scholarly, they are able to ask questions to Bhagavan. They have studied so many books, but I know nothing, I am an ignorant person. What will be my fate? Is there any hope for me? Bhagavan replied, yours is unlearned ignorance and theirs is learned ignorance, that's all. You say, I am a ajnani. If you inquire who this I is, then real knowledge will dawn upon you. These scholars too, if they make their noisy minds quiet and know their own self, all their doubts will vanish and they will also become peaceful. The true scholarship is not despised. That is also one kind of tapas, one kind of austerity. Only getting obsessed with it and without doing any sadhana. If the mind is always oscillating, it is that scholarship becomes a great problem with you. Then only it is despised. So, taṉṇai aṛivum maṟivē aṛivām. Knowing oneself alone is true knowledge. And that is pandityam. aṛivum-aṛiyāmaiyum kadanda aṛivuttirumeni. As Arunagirinathar says somewhere, he says, the body of Bhagavan is made of aṛivu. It is, the body itself is knowledge. Chidrupam, chidvapuhu. And that body is beyond knowledge and ignorance. It is pure, solidified omniscience. So, taṉṇai aṛivum maṟivē aṛivām. Here we have a poem also. Get out of the stream of duality that breeds conflicts. Waters of desire, ripples and waves of craving, flowing between the banks of knowledge and ignorance, is the stream of suffering that brings in birth and death. Jump out of this and watch the flow from the inner space. You will see the seer and the seen vanish. The space, pure awareness alone will remain as the whole, the infinite, the Purna. This is the verse. In the verse, 11th verse, also a continuity of this. aṛivu-uṟum taṉṇai அறியாது அயலை அறிவது அழியாமை அன்றி அறிவோ அறிவு அயர்க்கு ஆதாரத் தன்னை அறிய aṟivu-aṟiyāmai arume arave vidya kathambadi nacheda vidya vidyam vinagim pravibhatya vidya dvayam cha kasyeti vicharya moola swarupa nishtha paramartha vidya. This is the last verse. How can knowledge exists without ignorance? Bodharam atmanam ajanato yo bodhasya kim syat paramartha bodha bodhasya bodhyasya cha samshrayam swam vijanatastadvitayam vinashyet. The two will fall, drop off. When you know the knower, Bodharam Atmanam Ajanataha, without knowing the Atma, the self, which is the illuminer of all that is seen, the knowledge. Without knowing the self, bodhaha, knowing something is not knowledge, it is ignorance. Bodhasya bodhyasya cha, the knowledge and that which illumines it. All this happen in the adhisthana. The knower and the known arises and disappears in the self. In dream you see, the knower appears and the known also appears. I am sitting and reading one book in dream. The book is there and reader I am there, and while reading some knowledge is happening inside me, that is also there. But all the three is a dream. When I wake up, the book disappears, the reader disappears, and what is read also disappears, and I alone exists. In me, the triad appeared and disappeared. The tripudi appeared and disappeared. In the self, everything appears and disappears. And the self is the bodha. It is neither bodha nor bodhyam. It is pure bodha. Prakriti vikriti bhinna. Shuddha bodha swabhavaha. Sadasadidam ashesham bhasayan nirvishesha. Vilasati paramatma jagradadishvavastasu aham-aham-iti sakshat sakshirupena buddhe. This is Viveka-chudamani of Shankaracharya. There is a very beautiful verse where he says, Paramatma is dancing as I within. Just like Bhagavan is speaking. Prakriti vikriti bhinnaha. He is of the nature of pure awareness. Shuddha bodha swabhavaha. As pure awareness, different from prakriti and vikriti. Neither is he the unawareness of prakriti, nature, the basic stuff. Or you can say the deep sleep. You can say the karana sharira, causal body. And vikriti is that which appears in it. The mind, the body, the eye, everything. Different from both. Different from knowing and not knowing. Prakriti is not knowing and vikriti is knowing. Prakriti is the unmanifest and vikriti is the manifest. All manifestations. Different from both. The screen is there. Paramatma is there. Aham-aham-iti, as I, as the essence of I, in the waking, in the dream and deep sleep, the changeless principle is there. And he is of the nature of pure aṟivu, self-effulgence, consciousness, bodha. Without knowing that bodha, aṛivu-uṛum taṉṇai ariyādu, that taṉ, that I am. In Aksharamanamala, as Bhagavan says, that is Arunachala. That is Tattvam. Tāne tāne Tattvam. Without knowing that, ayalai arivat, knowing other things, many things, not much exists to be known. Too much knowing. Ayalai arivat, aṟiyāmai, it is ignorance. Actually, ignorance is knowing, not knowing. If you do not see the snake, no problem. If you do not see the rope, no problem. But you do not see the rope and you see the snake. And not seeing the rope is what they call aṟiyāmai. And seeing the rope is your knowledge. Neither do you know the true thing, but you, on that you see many other things. Superimpose many other things. And that is cause for fear, for desire, for problem. So ignorance is not that much harmful like the so-called knowledge. So comparatively, ignorance looks beautiful. And the so-called knowledge sometimes is too strenuous, heavy. No, that is why sages like Bhagavan, they preferred these ignorant people around them. Because the so-called intellectual somehow disturbs them. Too much of rationalization, too much of logic. As Buddha said, do not dip your logic in the unfathomable. The one who questions, he also commits an error, and one who tries to answer, he also lands in error. Hence, our sages found a method for the mediocre. All the scriptures are for them. For them they said, Atigambhiram bhavayathatmyam mukti nibandhanam Agamam utprekshitumapina shakyam Tarkasya apratishthānāt anyathanumeyamati ched evamapi avimoksha prasangaha. These are all mere spiritual medical science. Where Shankaracharya says, do not too much depend upon logic, because it contains very many deceptive pits where you can fall. It is better that you remain as an ignorant fool with a surrendered attitude to somebody who knows. It is far better than the harm that will be done to you will be less than depending upon your brain. You can depend upon your brain. You can use logic also, provided you are intelligent enough to surrender to the higher wisdom which has happened in the Upanishads, in the Shruti, or great sages like Bhagavan says something. Why should I accept Bhagavan? Okay, you also find out. I will not accept. Okay. Wherever you want to go, you go. So there, Shankaracharya says, Atigambhiram bhavayathatmyam. Very beautiful sentence. He says, this profound knowledge of the self, Atigambhiram, he says. This message, what they call as the Varta, Buddha said to all his monks, you have only one job to do. Go and give this message to all that such a thing exists. The human soul will wake up and will find the way out. At least let the message go that what you are seeking is within you. Liberation is already there inside you. You need no other outer things to do that. If that message will not go, they will again take perhaps thousands of years, wandering here, there, going to heaven, earth, everywhere. So this message is very sacred, and you cannot even infer, says Shankaracharya, with your so-called logical brain, with so much. Brain can help. We accept that. But you know, the brain is in a severe traffic jam, Bangalore, in midst of it, it is standing, and you cannot find a pathway out. So many things are there, so much of science, so much of physics, so much of chemistry, so much of biology, botany, mathematics. And another side, so much of music, dance, so much of film, so much of movie things are there before you. And amidst that, you are standing there, where to go? Then somebody has to come. Better tie your eyes with a ribbon. Don't see, I will lead you. Some compassion in Kanchana Karunikena Deshikena, says Shankaracharya. Somebody with immense compassion has to come And if you refuse to go, he has to hit in your head and make you unconscious and take you in a structure. That we call as kripa, grace. Otherwise you will not get out of this chaos. Because you will get into this duality of knowledge and ignorance, like pendulum. Go to ignorance, go to knowledge, go to ignorance, go to knowledge. Where is the jumping towards the seer? One who is beyond knowledge and ignorance. You need only a glimpse, an indication from Shastras outside to tell you jump back. Āvritta-chakshuhu amritatvam-icchan. Go back to your own self. Someone should come outside only to push you inside. Only that much help is needed for you from the realm of knowledge. More than that can create problem. aṟivum-aṟiyāmaiyum kadanda அறிவையர்க்கு ஆதார தன்னை அறிய aṟivu-aṟiyāmai arume. Knowing one's own real nature, one goes beyond knowledge and ignorance. Knowledge and ignorance both comes to an end. A knower knows objects separate from oneself. Is this real knowledge? The mind of the perceiver that perceives objects through the senses assumes the forms of those objects. The intellect gathers these received impressions and even in the absence of the objects continues to perceive them as memory under the guise of knowledge. The subtle shadowy impressions gathered and preserved in this manner hide the inner light of the self like a dark veil. This is not true knowledge. This layer of vasanas or inherent tendencies of the mind that covers the light of the self is actually ignorance. Only by the awareness of the self can this veiling be removed. The I consciousness alone is self-luminous, Swayam Prakasha. All that we see ranging from the ego I to the entire visible world of creation are all pictures seen with the light of the Chit, pure consciousness. It is only after the instruments like the mind and the senses arise in the awareness, I, that the knowledge about the world arises. When the senses, the mind and the I thoughts subside in the heart through enquiry, pure consciousness shines as I, āhum, āhum. This consciousness is the substratum, ādhāra, the taṉ. If one abides as this self, knowing, that is aṛivu, and not knowing, aṟiyāmai, both will come to an end. Consciousness, which is neither knowledge nor ignorance, will glow in all its brilliance. Jnana-varjita ajnana-hīna chit jnanam astikim jñātum antaram. In Upadesha Saram, Bhagavan says, Jnana-varjita ajnana-hīna chit. Beyond knowledge and beyond ignorance, that chit is real knowledge. What else remains to be known? From the self, which is pure intelligence, arises an inscrutable power as I. This power comes in contact with ignorance and transforms itself into the mind, itself as the mind. From the mind, with the power of sound, it manifests as space. With sound and touch, it manifests as air. With sound, touch and form it manifests as fire. With sound, touch, form and taste it manifests as water. And with sound, touch, form, taste and smell it expands as earth. Thus, in this universe, which is a mixture of the 5 elements, the source of all manifestation is pure intelligence, experience as consciousness, I am. When this indefinable power deviates from consciousness and assumes forms of objects, it becomes the mind. The very nature of the mind is to create an illusion of objects other than the self. This is in Vedanta called as vikalpa. When the mind is directed towards the self, it becomes chit shakti. When the power of the self, the atma shakti, that has become the mind, gets purified through non-motivated actions and bhakti, that mind becomes refined and subtle. At this stage, if one happens to get an intimation about the immeasurable that shines in the heart as I, a strange fascination arises from the depth to sink within. This is true longing for liberation. No more you are interested in seeing outside, thinking. A longing arises from within to sink within, to dive within, to merge in the inner lake of peace. The purified mind, when it hears the words of the Master, gets transformed at once into Chit Shakti and gets absorbed in its source. This meditative mind is called Pratyangmukha Manas, introverted or facing the self, the mind. When the mind transcends both knowledge and ignorance, it glides into the indivisible. This is the revelation of the immeasurable. The Upanishads call it the imperishable Akshara. The imperishable. So this is the 11th verse. I am reading here and there from the commentary also a little bit. If you can have this book, you can go through it elaborately. It is there. There is a poem also for this verse. He indeed is the Blessed One, who in aloneness shuts all the 5 eyes, eyes, all the senses are called eyes here, and with the lamp of attention, the inner chamber lit, incessantly worships the adorable being who shines within as I am. With the flowers of awareness and peace, Shraddha and Shanti, such a one is liberated here now. We will continue the 12th verse tomorrow. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Yato mamatma bhavasi tvameva tato na vachyam mama kinchidasti yathata veshtam gurumam tathaiva tvāmatmanatham ramanam bhajāmi.